Well, actually, today I have prepared the presentations
Okay,
about
very good.
my proposal.
Teman-teman, di kesempatan kali ini aku mau tunjukin rekaman interview dari rekan aku yang mempresentasikan tesisnya untuk profesor yang ada di Eropa. Jadi waktu itu aku ikut interviewnya dia dan aku ikut menyimak juga kurang lebih presentasi risetnya dia seperti apa. Dan aku mau bahas sih, biar kalian juga ada gambaran kurang lebih seperti apa sih presentasi ke profesor itu. So, tunggu kayak gimana lagi, simak videonya sampai habis ya. Ya, jadi dalam tahap interview itu kadang-kadang memang kalian tuh diminta untuk mempersiapkan materi, bisa jadi. Dan bisa jadi itu kan juga diminta untuk menjelaskan penelitian kalian sebelumnya. Dan pasti kalau misalnya kalian menjelaskan penelitian sebelumnya, kan juga harus menjalani proses presentasi seperti waktu skripsi kapan hari. Nah, waktu skripsi itu kan juga kan mengenal yang namanya latar belakang, metode, tinjauan pustaka, hasil pembahasan, ya seperti itu kan. Nah, ini juga tentu saja kalian harus presentasikan juga ya. Dan latar belakang ini sebenarnya sudah cukup bagi mereka profesor untuk menilai apakah kalian ini bisa menyelesaikan masalah dengan baik atau enggak kayak gitu. Dan misalkan kalian mengajukan suatu research plan, latar belakang ini ada hal yang paling penting. Gimana sih kalian tuh merangkum hal-hal itu untuk membahas kira-kira apa saja masalah yang bisa diselesaikan di penelitian kalian. Kayak gitu. Jadi latar belakang yang baik itu harus kayak gimana? Di latar belakang yang baik itu kayak gimana? Latar belakang yang baik itu yang pertama adalah latar belakang yang memang sesuai dengan bidang keilmuan kalian, jadi relevan, masalahnya relevan, bisa diselesaikan dengan ilmu yang kalian punya gitu, dan kapasitas yang kalian punya, dengan instrumen yang memang sudah ditemukan gitu, oke? Kemudian yang kedua ini bisa memberikan kontribusi, kalau misalkan ini research plan kalian ini jalan ya, hasilnya ini bisa memberikan kontribusi bukan hanya secara riset saja, tapi juga secara nyata itu bisa digunakan oleh industri misalnya kayak gitu, atau pokoknya pelaku yang bisa memanfaatkan hasil penelitian kalian, seperti itu sih. Nah, jadi abis ini aku akan aku akan putar rekaman dari interview rekan aku. Semoga kalian bisa mengamati. Jadi aku kasih briefingnya dulu. Beliau ini penelitiannya akan menciptakan suatu alat yang akan mendeteksi partikel-partikel atau kayak kontaminan babi. Dan ini tuh kontaminan babi ini akan kayak tercampur dalam berbagai macam makanan, sehingga untuk evaluasi kehalalan makanan, tentu saja kita nih membutuhkan alat yang bisa memastikan bahwa itu terdapat kandungan yang tidak halal di dalamnya kan. Dan beliau ini ingin menciptakan alat yang bisa memastikan dan mengevaluasi secara cepat kayak gitu bahan makanan, begitu hadapkan dengan instrumen itu langsung bisa tahu, oh iya, dalam makanan ini terdapat kontaminan babi, seperti itu kurang lebih. Masalah ini cukup relevan sih, apalagi Indonesia juga negara yang mayoritas muslim, dan MUI ini membutuhkan metode-metode yang up to date kayak gitu loh, yang canggih, yang modern dalam membantu mereka melakukan evaluasi halal. Jadi menurut aku latar belakang dan permasalahan yang akan diangkat sama rekan aku ini sebenarnya bagus banget. Cuman tinggal bagaimana cara dia presentasi, oke? Bisa dilihat dan disimak videonya. Nanti kalian bisa kasih tahu aku di kolom komentar, kira-kira kalian suka nggak dengan cara beliau presentasi, oke?
I also have read your comment on my first proposal. I think there are several terminologies and concepts that I have to learn more. One of them is the calibration transfer. It is quite new for me because I have to read a lot about it. But I catch several ideas about it, so we can discuss more on it. So I will introduce you about my background first, about the detail of my backgrounds. So the first thing, in Indonesia, one of the halal concept, there are so many halal concept, including this one, a food with no pig substance, including the lard or other thing that derive from the pigs, even in the small amount. It's actually not pointing on one subject, a pig, but also several things like alcohol, and then several animals that we are prohibited to consume it. But here I want to highlight pig, especially lard, because the lard, mixing the pig substance, especially the lard, can gain the taste on food. Like some of the merchant, they mix in the cooking oil, noodles, like fried rice, that very popular in Indonesia. And the other thing is around 80% in Indonesia is Muslim, that the government, they have to grant about the halal issue. And then by now the current halal assessment actually is suitable for the big company, because the big company have sufficient funding and time to do this assessment. And this assessment mostly relies on the laboratory assessment, which require RT-PCR, HPLC, FTIR, GCMS, and several methods. And this is, we know that this is the long time procedure. So that's why it's probably do not really becomes the most problem for the big company, but for the small medium scale food outlets, it become an urgent issue, because mostly they do not have much time and sufficient funding to do that. So I want also to highlight that my object is for the small medium enterprises, food culinary businesses.
Maybe one question,
Okay.
just to know. So they buy ingredients from different suppliers, and then they have to check their ingredients themselves. It's not that the ingredients have to be certified by the supplier.
Yeah, there are 2 points to grant it this is halal or not. The first one is by traceability. The first one, this one, the traceability. So the assessors will trace the component or the raw materials of the product, which is for example the flour. Is this flour comes from the company that have halal certification or not? That's the first thing that the assessor will do. And then the second one is if there is no the detail about the information about the halal of the raw material, so the assessor need halal assessing technology, which requires several instrumentations here. And then one important things that it's around 2018, the MUI, the bureau that institution that granted the halal, they have one what is it? One special step for SME, only for SME. So they can have it's similar to halal certification, but it's not really a halal certification. So the SME need to do the self halal declarations. So the SME need to declare that in the name of God that their raw material is halal. So that's why.
So they say we only buy halal ingredients, so what we cook is halal.
Yeah,
and
so
then
they have
their supplier has to declare that he only uses and only produces halal, and
Yeah, so they have to declare in the name of God. I don't know exactly about the detail about this situation, but after they declare in the name of God, they will have a kind of halal certification, but it's not for a longer time, because in around 2019, because there's no assessment technology applied in this scheme, so this scheme are not available now. So all of the company, even for the small, medium scale company, they have to require this step, including
And that's
halal
because
assessing technology.
because there was fraud with the self halal declaration
Yeah,
that people said
yeah,
it's halal while it wasn't, and yeah.
yeah. Because they can lie. Actually, they can fraud their food. So that's why, because of that problem, I want to emphasize in this problem and want to solve also this problem, because actually this is the shortcut for the SME to have to grant the halal assessment, because this is very cheap, and then yeah, this is very reliable for them, because the condition in Indonesia, you know, that many small medium food outlets like food streets, they sell many foods, and then they mostly do not have halal assessment. But we in Indonesia still buy that product, because of that, most of the food street, some of them do a food fraud. So they give certain kind of the lard or something that do not declare first to the consumer. So we really want to avoid this, because our religion have to avoid this. So that's why I presume that if we can support this scheme by giving the option, by having some technology based on several things here, like RT-PCR, HPLC, or GCMS, actually this become a solution. So the MUI can bring this scheme back for the SME, because I presume that if all the food outlets want to have this halal certification, they really don't do that, because it's a long time procedure, and this is quite costly. So that's why I think this is good, but the scheme is not supported by appropriate technology. So that's why I think I have an idea. How about we build a kind of instrumentation that based on I don't know, is it can be GCMS or HPLC or RT-PCR, that portable, that can be used for self-halal declarations. So this is the thing that I want to highlight about my background. Okay. Yeah. I have found several technology that probably similar with my thought. I have to here. The first one is Malaysia. They use ENOS to identify lard adulteration. But I think by using ENOS, this paper mentioned that they require heating process, because when we want to use the ENOS, there must be a volatile substance there. So that's why the sensor can detect what's in the materials. So I think it is can be a solution, but how about we can minimize the procedure?
So and you would smell if there's lard in there or not.
Yeah, yeah. And then the second one is by using impedance spectroscopy. So basically, they have some of the a thing that need to be contacted with the sample. So actually, it needs routine cleaning process. So I think when we use this design, this can be cross-contamination for next measurement. So I think how about we use kind of optical sensor to pursue this problem, to overcome this problem. So this is what I got so far.
So that's your research hypothesis, that with near NIR spectroscopy you would be able to detect the LART adulteration in a non-contact way, which would be more interesting than the electronic noise and the impedance spectroscopy.
Yeah.
I think one important aspect, and I hinted towards that in a previous meeting, is what would be our criteria for being successful? How accurate should the measurement method be to be acceptable? What levels of adulteration do we expect to find? Is it about detecting percentages of LARTs, or is it ppms of LARTs, or ppps of LARTs?
Yeah.
Because that makes a big difference about how feasible it is to do it with a technology like NIR spectroscopy.
Okay. I'm sorry, but according to that information about how the minimum requirement, is it on the percentage or ppm, I have no information yet, because I need to go to the MUI first. I have to contact them first, but so far that I know, the MUI need to quantify. This is what is it? To quantify not only the percentage but also the component of the LART. So that's why I hypothesize that I think based on the fatty acid, we can quantify how much fatty acid on the matters. But the problem relies on if we mix between the LART and other oil or another substance, it probably we have to catch the signature of LART, because LART composed by several different fatty acid that we have to make it becomes the fingerprints. So at first I think that how about we predict one by one the fatty acid, like I read several components. How about we predict one by one? But I think we cannot do that, because other oil or other fat also have a certain fatty acid,
acids,
like
you would have to do it in a fingerprinting way. Can you detect a fingerprint related to the LART, which we can distinguish from the fingerprints of the other oils? But I think it would be good to have an idea. I expect that if people do fraud, they do it in percentages, because doing fraud with a very small fraction doesn't pay, and you have the risk of getting caught, but you actually don't gain anything from it. So I guess it's in percentages, and then using NIR as a screening tool might make sense to say, okay, this is a suspected sample which I want to verify with one of the other methods. Because if it would be really about there is contamination with big products but at very, very low levels, that's something we will not be able to pick up. So like what they would say with allergens, that they say the product may contain traces of nuts, because in the factory where the product was made, we sometimes handle nuts, and there may have been one nut on the line which has escaped the cleaning and got into the other product, which for people with a serious nut allergy might actually already be problematic. Then the company says it may contain nuts, because we cannot guarantee it doesn't contain a nut, but if you would search, it's probably one out of millions or billions, but there is a risk. And things like that, we will not be able to detect, because the chance that we find this little bit of LART in the large volume is just too small. If you say no, it's about what we often see with fraud and adulteration. they've deliberately added lard, then we might have a chance to pick that up and say, hey, but something's wrong here. You've been mixing lard in there. I was wondering, I think your idea of going for the SMEs is nice. You could also even target consumers and say consumers are going to buy from one of these small shops and say, but I want to quickly verify with my small portable spectrometer, which I connect to my smartphone, if indeed it's halal or if it's not suspect. So you might even think in that direction.
Yeah, actually in Indonesia, you know that for food street, we just hear from the issue that I think in that area they adulterate their foods, but actually most of people still going there to eat their foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, some people don't care about the fact that it's.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. There's a difference between food integrity and food safety.
Yeah.
In a sense, food safety, that's if you would eat it, you would get sick. But with food integrity, we know it's fake, but it still tastes good, and we don't care. It's a different. Of course, what often also plays in food authenticity and food integrity is that they sell at the price of a premium product something which is actually not a premium product. So from that perspective, I would recommend you to check some literature. I can maybe provide you some literature related to food authenticity, food integrity inspection with vibrational spectroscopy, because there has some work been done also for olive oil. Because there you also have the first pressing, the extra virgin olive oil. You have olive oil from specific cultivars and specific regions which are very expensive, and there you have the same thing that some traders would tend to mix in cheap oil to have more volume of the expensive oil and sell it then as expensive oil. So people have been looking at that as well. Can we, based on spectroscopy, detect whether it is the original thing or it's an adulterated thing?
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know to what extent you already checked scientific literature for that, but it would be good to check what others have tried and see what we can learn for your case.
Ya, jadi kurang lebih seperti itu ya presentasinya dari rekan aku. Menurut aku masalahnya sih cukup penting ya. Penting sih untuk Indonesia ini penting. Jadi untuk Indonesia kita nih mempunyai esensi yang bisa dia berikan. Nah, tapi untuk presentasinya sendiri dan untuk penyampaian idenya, saya PPT-nya bagus. Jadi PPT-nya beliau ini bisa kalian jadikan contoh bagaimana cara menyusun strukturnya, dan ya bikin PPT itu yang kayak gitu aja, yang simple, yang bersih, nggak usah pakai yang model-model yang gimana, yang alay, pokoknya yang kayak gitu aja. Nah, nanti mungkin akan aku buatin video kayak gimana sih bikin PPT skripsi atau PPT tesis yang gimana, yang bersih lah kurang lebih kayak gitu, oke? Ya, beliau sih dapat evaluasi positif ya, karena berhasil mengadres atau mengangkat isu yang penting buat negara kita. Jadi cara-cara dan hal-hal positif yang bisa kalian dapat dari rekaman tadi bisa kalian ambil, dan semoga ini bisa membantu buat teman-teman yang akan mempersiapkan research plan atau buat teman-teman yang akan merencanakan ada presentasi dengan profesor kayak gimana gitu. So, buat kalian kalau ada pertanyaan atau apa, boleh komunikasikan di bawah. Kalau kalian mau aku bacakan research plan kalian juga silahkan, boleh email aja langsung. Aku taruh emailnya di deskripsi di bawah, silahkan, nggak apa-apa. So, thank you for watching and see you on next video.